try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson, with that sick Rangers flag sitting right behind him. Today, we're going to be discussing a specific player on the New York Rangers and why this player is the key to success for the 2022-23 season. And that player is, of course, Chris Kreider. Of course, we all know him. We all love him. Great player on the Rangers. We're going to be discussing why he is super, super important, the most important forward for the Rangers' success this upcoming year. But before we really dive into that topic, Eric, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's good to be back in Florida at school. I know in just a couple of days you'll be down here with me. So to all the fans out there, get ready for some in-person content from me and Anthony. It's going to be fun. So just keep in touch for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast sitting there in a frat house, a stinky, dirty, smelly, gross frat house with grime and must all over the place. And we're going to be ripping some shotgun beers and having some fun talking about the New York Rangers. I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. Just stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because this is going to be some really fun Rangers content coming your way. But let's go ahead and dive into Chris Kreider. Let's go over his stats from 2022, discuss his career stats and everything else, and then talk about why he's so important for the success of the Rangers this upcoming season. Of course, looking in 2022, he played in 81 total games, and he put up 52 goals, 25 assists for 77 total points. He was kind of a point machine. Throughout his career, he's played in 654 total games, 229 goals, 194 assists, 423 total career points. Chris Kreider is a beast. And of course, we're going to discuss how he has played in the past every year with the Rangers. Take a look at his points and then look at the Rangers league standings in each of those seasons. So Eric, why don't you break that down for us?
All right. Yeah. I mean, even before I get into that, I just want to point out, last season, Chris Kreider's 52 goals, definitely his best season we've ever seen. It's his career high in goals. He came very close to doubling his previous career high, which was 28. So just like you said, you can really see it reflect in the standings. Chris Kreider is definitely very important to this offense. So like I just said, in 2022, Chris Kreider scored 52 goals, career high. 50 goals is a big number. There's usually only 3 to 4, or maybe even 5 players per season who hit that mark. So that number itself is just something special. And then I'm sure most of you remember this last season, the Rangers just finished 7th in the standings league-wide. And, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is great. And he was definitely a big part of that. But then you look to just the season beforehand, he only puts up 20 goals. And what happens? The Rangers finish 16th in the league. Then, in 2020 through 2017, he went from 24 goals, then 28 goals, then 16 goals, then 28 goals. All just average amount of goals. Nothing special, nothing too poor, besides really the 16 goal season. But that was a bad year for the Rangers. And then in those seasons, we finished 18th in the league, 26th in the league, 24th in the league. And then in 2017, we did finish 9th in the league, but that was kind of the last year that we had our old main core pretty much intact. After that season is when we initiated the rebuild that Chris Kreider is the only man left standing from. But as you can see, just based on these numbers, obviously Chris Kreider isn't the only person who contributes to the success of the team, but he does play a big factor in it. The seasons where he scores more goals and produces more points, the Rangers in turn end up being higher up in the standings. So, you got to kind of look at this lineup and just really appreciate the effect that Chris Kreider has on it. He does good, the Rangers do good. If he plays poorly, the Rangers in turn also play poorly. So, this upcoming season, things to look forward to is how many goals is Chris Kreider going to score? Is he going to keep up this phenomenal play and hit 40 or 50 goals again? And then where will the Rangers end up in the league standings after that? I think it's kind of a lock at this point that the Rangers will make the playoffs again next season. But, just getting into the playoffs, it's nice, but it's not perfect. You want to have good seeds, you want to have home ice advantage throughout the playoffs. So we kind of just got to wait to see what he produces next season.
Absolutely. And, talking about the points total that we can expect from Chris Kreider, talking about had over 50 goals this past season, 52 total. If he can hit 40 or 50 again, like Eric said, it would be huge for the success of the Rangers, especially considering what's going on the second line. Of course, Chris Kreider is your first line left winger, but second line left winger, Artemi Panarin. Eric and I discussed Artemi Panarin recently. We're projecting a potential 100-point season for the Breadman. So if he could hit that number, and then you see Kreider maybe put up another 70 to 80 points, at least 60-something, I don't know. we could be looking at a really solid first two lines for the Rangers, which I think, of course, we're all expecting anyway. Having the first lines, Chris Kreider is very likely to maintain his position as the first line left winger, but keep in mind there is a chance that he could move to the right side. Most of us are kind of assuming that Alexis Lafreniere will move to right wing on the first line, but you never know. The Rangers could end up testing that out during the preseason and training camp and decide maybe it's best to keep Alexis Lafreniere at left wing on the first line and move Chris Kreider over to right wing. So that's something that could happen, which could maybe have even better success, even higher numbers come out of Chris Kreider, or maybe it could be a detriment to his play style and to his performance this upcoming season. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on that? The potential of Chris Kreider just maybe moving to the right side?
I mean, is it possible? Yes. Is it something that I think we should do? That's a tough question because he has had success on the left side just this past season with all those goals and points. But like the thing is, when Kreider plays on the wing, when we're rushing up the ice, he's over there on the side. And then once we set up in the offensive zone, Kreider usually gravitates just towards the front of the net and, like tries to deflect and put in rebounds. So looking on what side he plays better on, I honestly don't think it would matter because he's going to end up in front of the net anyway. I think the biggest factor would be defensively, when the opposing team is carrying it up the ice and Kreider is rushing back to play defense, if switching his side might affect that and, like what side he shoots the puck from. But when you're a player as good as Kreider is, I'm not sure how much of an effect that will have. Just if I had to pick, I would say if it works, don't change it. And it's working on the left side. But, if you keep him on the left side, then it also like does come into play of who's playing as his right winger, because Kreider and Zibanejad do have a lot of great chemistry. They play very well together. But whoever fills in that right side, whether it be Lafreniere, Kakko, or someone else, we really just have to see how they play. Because as we've discussed in previous episodes, we're kind of hoping that Kreider and Zibanejad will help make someone like Lafreniere better and help them produce more points. But that's like in a perfect world. There's always the chance that Lafreniere can be moved up to the first line, and all he does is just bring Kreider and Zibanejad's points down. So I don't believe that'll happen, but there's always the possibility that it will. So it's kind of like up in the air at this point, really.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in Alexis Lafreniere. I think he's going to have a huge season up on that first line. I think that's the opportunity that he needs, the extra ice time playing up on the first line with these really talented players. I don't think that Alexis Lafreniere will, de-escalate the game of the guys that he's playing with Zibanejad and Kreider. If anything, I think Zibanejad and Kreider will elevate Alexis Lafreniere's play, and he'll just become a much better player. But of course, maybe Kaapo Kakko can move his way up to the first line at some point this season, and maybe he can elevate his game. I think that's really what's going to happen, though. Whoever's on that right wing, expect to see a career year out of whichever player it is. Again, most likely it is Alexis Lafreniere. So I do think we're going to see a huge season from Alexis Lafreniere, and I believe that Chris Kreider and Zibanejad will continue to maintain their, star power up there on the left and at the center. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to there. But Eric, you got any last thoughts on Chris Kreider as we enter this 2022 season?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about Chris Kreider, the one thing, like the one criticism that I usually have with Kreider is he's the most consistently inconsistent player in the NHL, in my opinion. It's kind of like he starts off every season really hot. He's scoring like almost a goal per game, and it's looking like he's going to have an insane season. But then around like halfway through the season, he'll just disappear. It'll be like he's on the ice, but you won't even notice he's there because he's doing nothing. And then by the end of the season, he starts scoring goals again. And the reason that he was able to be so successful this past season that just ended is because he never took that mid-season gap. He stayed consistent and played very hot all the way through. And the only way for him to recreate these numbers that he put up last season, or maybe even excel and have a new career high in goals and points, would be for him to maintain his excellent play throughout the whole season again. He cannot revert back to the inconsistent Chris Kreider that he's been throughout his whole career. We need him to stay hot, and hopefully playing with Zibanejad and Lafreniere will make that happen.
I think that will happen. I think that's what we're in store for, a big year from Chris Kreider. But, talking about his inconsistencies, right? Hot start and hot finish to the seasons, but midpoint slump. What do you think that stems from, and what do you think that he can do? Or why do you think he didn't feel that slump last year? He didn't have that midseason slump. Why do you think that was? Was it players that he was playing with? Was it Gerard Gallant's coaching? What is your take on that, and how can he avoid having a midseason slump in 2022 to 23?
I think the biggest way that he fixed it was like A couple of reasons. Gerard Gallant coaching definitely helped. But then it also really helped that there was just like a new excitement to the team. Chris Kreider really started his career with the Rangers like around 2014. I don't remember the exact year, so don't quote me on that. But it was really towards the end of like the peak Rangers era of like the mid 2010s. Because then like right when he developed into like an older veteran player, we were in the middle of a rebuild. So it was kind of like he was just playing on a team with a bunch of nobodies who was destined to fail until we were able to become contenders again. And I think like last season was the first real season where it really felt like the Rangers were back to their prime selves and we had a chance at winning. So like it could all just be like a psychological thing where Chris Kreider knows he has a chance to win and he's going to do his best to make that happen. You know, you're not just playing hockey to play hockey, you're playing hockey to win now. So that definitely helps as well.
Yeah, and honestly, it sounds like the way you're describing it, also from the way that I see it, considering these things, maybe Chris Kreider's performance is kind of dependent on the performance of those around him. When the Rangers are good, he's better. It could be the opposite of what we really think about this video. If you really want to get deep about it, play a little devil's advocate. We're talking about how Chris Kreider is super important for the Rangers' success. Maybe the success of the Rangers is super important for Chris Kreider as well. So it goes hand in hand, right? So maybe Mika Zibanejad, if he has a huge career year, then you're also going to see a career year out of Chris Kreider. But if Alexi Lafreniere ends up stinking it over on the right side of the wing, maybe Chris Kreider's points take a little bit of a dip. But again, my prediction is if Chris Kreider has a baller year, I think the Rangers are going to go deep in the playoffs. I think that he is super important to the Rangers' success. And if he's having a baller year, I think Alexi Lafreniere will have a baller year on the other side of the line just because I think Alexi Lafreniere is going to need good players around him. He's going to have better players around him. I think that his play will elevate playing up on this first line. And I'm super excited to see it unfold. Can't wait to watch it happen and can't wait to continue to discuss this and every other New York Rangers storyline right here on Fireside Rangers. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss a video. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video. And let us know your thoughts on Chris Kreider down below in the comments section. We'll catch you all in the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.
He shoots. He's